One thing that we always see as real estate agents is newer buyers don't know or don't understand the buying process. Most people just think I need to have 5% or I need to have 10% or I need to have 20%. Some people even think they need to have 100% to be able to buy that property. Today, what we're going to be talking about is how to buy a property in the GTA, a complete buyer's guide. This is basically what we do with our clients whenever they say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a property. I'm Bawanka with the Compass team,
And it's Safraz with the Compass team.
and we're going to be diving deep into the buying process. Now, a lot of people, like I said, everybody has different misconceptions of what buying actually is
Yep.
and what it looks like. But we have a guide, a simple steps system for you. We call it the buying process. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through it with you. And we're also going to tell you how we make it so that it's a lot easier for you to find the home that's perfect for you. So, first step number one is to meet with our team, and we are here. So that's like the easiest thing. Just click the link below, set up a time to meet. You can either do a discovery call or
Absolutely.
a
Yep.
buyer meeting, whichever one is easier for you, whichever one you prefer. Step number two is to get pre-approved. Now, Safras, when we say get pre-approved, what do we mean about that?
So, everybody has an imaginary number or a number that they think they can qualify for, right? That could be based on income, down payment, credit score. These are the three main factors. But what a pre approval is we actually get in touch with someone at the bank level or mortgage broker and say, hey, these are my documents, this is my income, this is my, job letter, pay stubs, and my credit score. What can I qualify for to purchase a property? Basically, they give you a form and say, you know what, Wonka, you know what, Safras, these are their numbers. This is what they can comfortably afford, and this is the rate. These are the terms and conditions that come along with it. So that's the whole process of what a mortgage pre-approval is.
Yeah. And now oftentimes maybe somebody it's a couple and they get pre-approved for 1 million, but they say, you know what, if we buy something
Yep.
at 1 million and we put down the 20% or whatever the percentages that you have to put down, and this is what our monthly payment is going to be. That's something that's very important. What is your monthly payment going to be? And they say, you know what, at 1 million we don't like what this monthly payment is going to be,
Absolutely, yeah.
but at 800,000 we really like what that payment is going to be. So we're going to be looking for something around 800. Then you're going to say, okay, my budget is going to be around 800, but I'm approved all the way up to 1 million.
Exactly. So the approval, like you said, it's important to know what your max is, and then in a perfect world you'd want to stay below that as much as possible. Why? Because cost of living, you want to calculate your mortgage. It's not just your mortgage payment, right? There's a lot of other costs that come about when owning a home or a condo. So we find out what a comfortable number is, and then we kind of take it from there to looking for homes really.
Yeah, and a lot of times, now this is step number two, get pre approved. A lot of times we talk to clients or we meet with clients and they've already been pre approved. They've already been searching for homes. That's actually step number three is search for homes. We're going to get to that. But why we have step number one as meet with our team is because a lot of times we have very good mortgage brokers, experienced mortgage brokers who are
Absolutely.
usually able to do a lot better job getting you the best price, the best rate, sometimes even cash back. But they're able to do better than what you're gonna get if you just walk into a branch or what you might just see just on the internet just looking for something. So that's why step number one is gonna be meet with our team.
Absolutely. We have, we've been in the business for some time now. We have great connections. We've, interviewed hundreds, maybe, if not more, mortgage brokers. So we have some of the best that I think, like you said, best rate, best term. At the end of the day, we want to be as involved as possible in this specific point so that you can get ultimately the lowest monthly cost for your mortgage.
Yeah. So step number three is going to be for searching for homes. And like I said, sometimes people are already past all of these steps before they start searching for homes. We're going to go through something as well that helps you really pinpoint and understand what is the perfect home for you. Whenever we use this system, we're usually able to help you find the home that's perfect for you within the first 2 to 7 sets of showings. um, and I mean, we can dive deeper into that, but Safras, why do you think we're usually able to find people these homes this quickly within the first 2 to 7 homes that they look at?
I think it's that's why we sit down with them and we understand this process. We ask so many questions, right? Because if I just said, "Hey, what's your dream home?" We're gonna, you're gonna say, "I want a triple car garage, maybe. I want 6 bedrooms, 17 bathrooms," and it's not realistic. So we figure out, okay, this is our budget. That's what we got our budget. Number one, we got pre-approved. Second is, what are you comfortable with budget-wise? And naturally, that narrows down where we can find and what we're looking for. And then it's about, hey, within this area or this scope of what you told us financially, what are the best case results, right? Are you looking for a home? Or do you want a condo? Do you need a parking spot or do you want a parking spot? It's a lot of discovery, finding, and understanding your needs and wants. And of course, we're planning for life in advance as well, right? If it's, hey, you know what? I'm okay with the 1 bedroom, it's just myself and my partner, but we might be having a kid, or I have a pet dog that I need to walk. So a lot of these questions that we ask basically allow us, right? They might know what they want in their head, but now it's about transmitting their information to us and saying, okay, this is what we think you want. Let's go out and narrow it down, right? Because, if you're looking at Toronto, GTA, just on realtor.ca, there might be 10,000 places available. But by narrowing it down, we're able to help them get to their goal a lot faster.
Yeah. And this part is a lengthy process. We're gonna do it at the end, but we still have another 4 or 5 steps that we want to get through and help you understand them first. And then we're gonna jump over to every single little thing that helps you understand and find the home that's perfect for you. So let's say, like I said, we're skipping ahead and we find the place that's perfect for you. One thing to keep in mind is during the searching for homes phase, that's when you need to make sure that you have the deposit liquid. You need to have that cash
Absolutely,
ready
yeah.
to go. This is a common problem that we run into with people is, your money is tied up in, it's in your stocks, it's in some different investments, and you can get it out in 3 to 5 days. But
Absolutely, yeah.
when you find a place and we make an offer and that offer gets accepted, within 24 hours, you need to have the deposit. Now, the deposit is usually going to be about 5% of the purchase price. So keep that in mind and know, hey, if I'm thinking about getting a
Very
home, I need to make sure that I have my deposit liquid cash ready to go so that you don't have to run into any problems or any issues. But let's say we're out and we go and we see a place and this place is perfect and we say, you know what, we really like this place. Then where do we go from there?
So, a lot of it starts from them liking the place, and then we take on a lot of the responsibility from then on. It's like, all right, we start talking to the agent. We try to understand why they're selling, maybe, what their ideal closing time is, and, a few of the things that make the seller kind of want to sell to us. Not just want, of course, they want to sell, but now, if, for example, we're flexible to close in 30 to 60 to 90 days, but the seller's like, you know what, I need 90 days exactly. By us, kind of.
But when we say close, that's the day that you actually get the property. Like, so,
Yep.
so the agreement happens. Once the agreement is done, now then there's gonna be closing. And again, typically it happens within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It could be anywhere in between. It just really depends on what the seller wants and what you want. Sometimes you're selling and you're buying at the same time, so you want the
Exactly.
dates to be aligned. But that's what we mean when we're saying close.
Exactly. So now, you kind of figure out their wants, and then we're going to have some wants, right? We might, let's say we told our landlord we're leaving in 60 days, and we're like, okay, we need a home, maybe 45 days to give us some time to kind of move in and settle in. So the process of making an offer is you kind of put everything on paper, right? You have your purchase price. We talk about, there's a few terms and things that we start negotiating, but it's always putting kind of our best foot forward, not always in price. I'm just saying our best foot forward and saying, you know what, we're actually very serious about this. It's about a 14-page document to 15-page, especially the first one. There's a lot of other documents that we need to sign, but we kind of have it signed on our side and we send it to the seller and say, you know what, we are very interested in this. Here's 24 hours, here's 12 hours, here's 6 hours. Get back to us ASAP.
Yeah. Now, I mean, so that's when we're gonna be making an offer. Now, there's different markets that we have to have a different strategy
Absolutely.
when we're making an offer. So in market where it's a buyer's market, and let's say we've talked to the agent, they haven't had a lot of showings, they haven't had a lot of offers. Now we can be more aggressive with our pricing. But in a market where, or a home that's really nice and it's priced well and they have a lot of people who are interested in it, now we're gonna have to have a different type of offer, because maybe they already have one offer. Maybe they're holding offers until to get multiple offers at the same time. But beautiful homes, they go, they sell, and if you love it, somebody else most likely loves it as well. And if you're in a time like that, now you have to have a much stronger offer, and that's when you want to be putting your best foot forward, even in terms of price, because in order to get what you want, you have to win it. And that's something that's very important to know in like real estate, especially when competition comes. If you want it, you have to win it. Like there's always gonna be a winner and a loser whenever you get into multiple offer situations.
Yep.
Again, we are gonna be here to guide you through it. It's difficult if you've never been in a multiple offer situation before, but that's what we're here for. And we will give you guidance. We will give you support. At the end of the day, every decision is up to you, but we're here for the guidance and support.
Yeah. So like you said, there are certain areas and certain homes. Example, like there's something called an offer date when you're making an offer, right? Right now, they're rare, right? Less than 10% of homes, but these are the ones that we know will sell. Sometimes they list it on Wednesday, so it goes to the market on Wednesday and it's sold the following Wednesday. So those strategies when making an offer are much different. But again, we've dealt with hundreds of them in terms of, it might be, instead of giving them 24 hours to respond to us, it's 3 hours. Sometimes it's, even less. It's just, hey, can you get to it? Are you on a computer? Perfect. All the decisions will be done that same night by 9, 10 p.m. That's why it's really important. We always do it is say, this is what could happen. That's also important, right? When you're making an offer, sometimes like it sounds crazy, but it happens so often where we're looking at a property that's sit on the market sometimes for 30 days. Of course it's been on the market for a while, so we're taking our own sweet time, our clients, and just going back and forth and trying to figure out a strategy. And you're like, okay, you know what, I'm ready to put an offer today. It's Wednesday, 6 p.m. No one's offered on it, we're good. Boom. Right when you're about to submit, someone else submitted an offer. Now again, strategies change, but that's part of the process, part of the game. So initially just make the offer, and we'll take it from there, guiding you in the right direction, really.
Yeah. So step number four is make an offer. Step number five is negotiate the price and the terms. But they are gonna kind of merge together. So in the offer process, some things that are like very important to know is gonna be your conditions, which is also your terms. So your conditions, the most important ones are going to be the financing condition. The financing condition for sure is going to be the most important one, especially for a newer buyer. And that's why we said step number one is to get pre-approved. Now, in a slow market, more often than not, and with a newer buyer, we're going to say just put the financing condition in there. It's just going to give you more peace of mind. But like we talked about, in another situation where there's more offers, where you need to have a stronger offer, this is why you want to be pre-approved. You may need to go in with no financing. If your financing is good, you're pre-approved for $1 million, and 800,000 is what you're looking to buy at. your financing is going to be good there. So you talk to the mortgage broker, hey, I'm going to waive the financing condition. If you're 200,000 away from it, they're going to say, yeah, sure, go ahead. Um, but that's going to be your most important one, and you're going to have 5 business days for that one. Another one, there's two. One is for if it's a condo, one if it's for a home. So if it's a condo, you're going to do something called a status certificate condition. Now, majority of status certificates are good, but what even is a status certificate? Because most people don't know what a status certificate is. Safras, what is a status certificate?
So, status certificate typically is a 300 to 400 page document about the condominium, the managing of the condo. So, how is it managed? And when we say that, it's to understand, what are the building's financials, right? You might be looking at a condo that's super cheap, super low maintenance fee, but you're you look into the status and sometimes they're getting sued by 17 people. Sometimes they have other lawsuits. Sometimes they have, so many things that are in there basically is to protect you for typically 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Example, right? Like they're replacing the roof in 2 years and they're short on funds. The funds have to come from somewhere. So naturally the maintenance fee goes up, or there's other charges that they could charge you, even though at the time, like just looking on paper, you're like, this maintenance fee is so low and it's fantastic, but it's allowing us to plan 5 to 10 years in advance. So it has, it tells you how much your how much your maintenance fees are going to increase this year, next year, and the year after that. Any scheduled improvements that are required for the building. Basically, just giving you a snapshot in 400 pages, of course, a snapshot of what happens when you do buy into this condo, right? It's really important to, it's like, you're getting into a relationship, a very serious relationship, and understanding the finances of what the other party is involved in.
Yeah. So it is 300 or 400 pages, and you're probably like, I can't read 300 or 400 pages. No worries. We send it to the lawyers. The lawyers review it, and they break it down into 1, maybe 2 pages, and let you know everything that you need to know about this building. Like, this is how much the reserve fund is. Here's how much your maintenance fee is going to be going up over the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. It's usually about 1%, maybe 2%. But like Safra said, maybe there's someone's getting sued. Again, rarely is the corporation getting sued, but it can happen. And then your maintenance fee might be going up 5% or 10%. But this is something that's good to know. And for this one, we have 3 business days to look into that and to make sure you're okay with everything that's going to be happening in the building. So that's for a condo, but with a house, what are you going to be doing with a house?
So typically, especially first time home buyers, especially in Toronto, most in the GTA, really a lot of these homes are older. We do something called a home inspection. Home inspection, again, typically 3 to 5 days. We hire a professional home inspector to come and inspect the property. Why? Because whenever you're going into a home, you could see, all the cosmetic things, but you can't see how old the roof is. Has there been any water issues? Anything wrong with the electrical, the plumbing, anything to do with the home that's, essential and
The
urgent?
furnace, the water heater.
AC, windows, like anything and everything you could think about. Any moisture will go in. Well, the home inspector will go into the attic if possible. Right? Is basically to cover all our grounds. Similar to the status certificate, is to know what we're getting ourselves into in 5 or 10 years. Because you go into a home in the winter, everything's nice and warm and toasty, but you find out that the furnace is past its life expectancy. It's working great, but it could shut down next winter. So we have to kind of budget for that, and it's ultimately for you as the future homeowner to understand exactly what you're getting into and ultimately protecting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so a home inspection is something, especially in older homes, it's something that we always recommend you to do. Again, for this one, you're gonna have 3 business days. In a condo, the reason that we don't do a home inspection in the condo is because a condo is just everything that you can see and touch. You walk into the room and you see and you can touch everything. But say there's an issue with the roof, or there's an issue with the windows, or
Absolutely.
there's other issues like that. That the condo building is the one who's going to be taking care of that, not you. You take care of everything that's in your house. But yeah, if there's moisture, something's happening in the walls, that's the condo board who's going to be taking care of that, not you. So that's why normally there's not going to be a home inspection in a condo.
Exactly. It- Unless it's like a super old, there's some condos that are like 70 years old.
Yeah.
And those ones you kind of, we always say like for those ones you should check because there could be a lot of things that we can't see just because it's so old, but with 99% of condos, you do not need a home inspection.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's fully move into step number 5, which is negotiating the price and the terms. But so we've talked about some of the terms. Let's talk about like all of the most important terms for you to know. Number 1 is going to be price. This
Always.
is always like the most important thing. Number 2 is going to be the closing date. So you pick a date, like we said before. Maybe you're buying and selling on the same day. Maybe you're renting and you're going to be moving out, and these days work for you on the same day. Maybe the place is vacant. There's so many different variables, but the date is another very important day. So the price, the date, the irrevocable time. So irrevocable, Safras, what is irrevocable?
So irrevocable time is the time when we submit or make our offer is we give them a deadline that they have to respond to us back within that time, right? They have to respond to us. Our offer is valid for only that set amount of time.
So what happens if they don't respond in time?
If they don't respond in time, very unprofessional, number one. Number two, we talk to the agent, like, what's going on here, right? Like, is your client on vacation? But a lot of this stuff, we naturally look into it before, right? You call we talk to the agents and say, hey, like, we're going to send you an irrevocable. Sometimes it's like 5 p.m., it's expiring at 8. And they're like, oh, I can't reach my client. They're in a different time zone. Like, it really depends. But irrevocable means the offer we're submitting is only valid until that time. And again, all good agents will respond within that time frame.
Okay, so we got price, we got date, we got irrevocable. We just went over financing. We talked about status certificate. We talked about home inspection. What do you think is there? Is there any more other terms that are very important?
So we always have a lot of other, I want to say, very specific terms and conditions, right? Like the terms and conditions sometimes are 2 pages long. A lot of the conditions are in there. There's a lot of other things to protect our buyers, right? We want to make sure that the money we get is deposited with our brokerage or their brokerage, like a trusted brokerage, right? We want to ensure that they pay off their mortgage with our funds. They pay off whatever debts, that there's no liens on the property. There's a lot of these things, and even title search. So there's something we do within those terms and conditions called a title search to make sure that the person who's selling the home owns the home or condo, but also there's no title issues. What that means is, there's no other liens on the property. Someone else, anybody, that could be a bank, some financier doesn't have an interest in this property. It's just them, and they're going to make sure that when we take the keys, it's all said and done, and we're able to take 100% ownership of the home. Those are part of, the I would say a lot of the most important terms are what we've listed thus far.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say is vacant possession. If you're going to be living there
absolutely.
yourself,
Sorry, yeah.
vacant possession is something that's very important. Maybe there's a tenant currently there. A lot of times it happens when there's a tenant. If you're buying as an investor, maybe you don't want to take over the tenant. Almost every contract that we put together is going to have vacant possession unless we've already discussed and talked about you taking over the tenant that currently lives there. But now let's talk about negotiating the price and the terms. So in step number 4, we talked about making an offer, the price, everything that we've already talked about, price,
Condition.
closing date, the conditions that go with it. Now we send that to them. So the ball is now in their court. We created the offer. The ball becomes, now it's in their court. Now the seller can decide, you know what, I'm going to accept this. they can say, I'm going to decline this, or more often than not, especially working with us, you're going to get a sign back. The reason I say more often working with us is because we do our best to get you the best price that we can. And there is some negotiation that's involved in that. One thing that's very important to know when it does come to negotiation, the more time that passes, the higher chance someone else comes into it. And if someone else comes into it right away, immediately the price becomes, it goes higher and the price goes, it's just more. So once the ball goes into their court, typically what do we expect?
So typically, when we're negotiating, we give them the irrevocable period. We talked about it, on average, I'd say between 8 to 24 hours, which is like the next day. But like you said, sometimes you're waiting long enough and someone else comes in, our strategy has to change. So, typically we send them our first offer, they get back to us maybe tomorrow, and then we send it back. They get, like, it takes about 2 to 3 days. Uh, Especially depending on the market. If it's a slower market, buyer's market, you'll go back and forth 3, 4 times, sometimes 5 times, right? But as soon as the other offer comes in, right? Yeah, we basically have to cut that 3 day process sometimes, within the same day or the next day. You really have to cut the time. So now we can't really go back and forth as strongly, one by one by one by one, because now the other person is involved. And when they bring an offer, first of all, they already know we have an offer on the table. They can just come and say, hey, you know what, we're going to go higher than these guys, close to whatever the price is that we want to end at. So you kind of need to cut the chase. And, instead of going back 3, 4 times or 5, you might only get one chance, right? Sometimes that's the case, right? You only get one more chance to say, hey, you know what, we're making a decision tonight. We're selling it. Whoever comes with the best price and terms will get this home. And sometimes they say, you know what, we'll kind of go back and forth, because on the seller side, as a singular unit versus 2 buyers, they can't negotiate on paper with both parties. That's illegal. They can't do that. So what they do is, yes, the seller receives 2, and they kind of have to choose on which offer to kind of work with, or just to accept. Sometimes they might just accept it, and you're like, hey, I was expecting 3, 4 days, but it's done tonight within a couple of hours. So it's really important that you kind of, once you make a decision, to move quickly to kind of get the home secured. Because if someone else does come in, and many a times, like I said before, it's no one's come for 30 days, but the second we put in an offer, someone else might trigger someone to say, I've been doing the same thing, I really love this home, let me dive in.
Because they're able to see when we put in an offer.
Exactly.
Every offer is going to be registered. You're able to see if other people have put in offers as well. You can't see the amount, you can't see their details, but you are able to know someone else is seriously put in an offer, registered. And again, people ask me all the time, are they faking? Is it real? Any offer that's registered, it's like you can't lie about this. If you're lying about this, like, you're at risk of losing your license.
Yeah, back in the days, I know, like a long time ago, 10, 15, 20 years, yeah, it's just like, hey, yeah, this guy's bringing me an offer, but now it's registered in the back end system, and it's not just a verbal or an email register. You have to have a signed form to even register an offer. So that's how we know it's legit.
Yeah. So one thing that we haven't really talked about is that this is a stressful time, and it's a stressful process, and that this is a very big decision.
Yeah.
So they say, like, the biggest decisions, the 3 biggest decisions you're going to make in your life are getting married, having kids, and buying a home. So at no point are we saying that it's easy, just go ahead, just do it. No, we need you to understand this is going to be a stressful time, but this is what we do day in, day out, and we're going to be here with you every step of the way to help you make the best decision, and also even to help you do things to make you to not be so stressed.
Yeah, it's that's why from the start, it's the discovery, the going out to see homes and say, you know what, is this actually the right home for you, or is just something that we want in a perfect world, right? There's a lot of different scenarios, but that's what I think we do really well, is to understand, hey, is this right for you? And if it is right, it has to be at the right price, right? Because if we're throwing money at everything, everything can be right. But we want to keep everything, hey, saying, you know what, you said you want to stay around this price. Why are we, you know, offering all these things? Like it's like hysteria, when everybody wants to get in. You're like, oh, I want to beat them out. I want to beat them out. Let me just go all in. It's sometimes you have to be really careful and smart and strategic, and that's where we kind of calm the nerves for you and say, hey, we've gone through it so often and frequently. We're able to like lend the expertise and make sure that you're calm, cool, and collected, because like you said, it's the biggest decision. You don't want to jump right into it and then find out the next day like buyer's remorse, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't really want that, because it's a lot of process to kind of feel. So we want to make sure, let's take care of you guys the right way.
Yeah. Okay, so step number 4, we put in an offer. Step number 5, like Safra has talked about, could go back and forth 2, 3 times. Every single time that it gets sent either from us or from them back, which is called the sign back, once someone signs on that line that says accepted, so it's the ball, you make an offer, the ball is in their court. They sign it back, the ball is in your court. When the ball is in your court, all you have to do is sign and you say accept, and it's yours. But maybe you're not okay with the price and the terms. You put the ball back in their court. If they sign, they can accept it. And you can keep on going back and forth, but the way that you move forward is someone has to accept and sign on that dotted line. We accept what the other party has given to us. And now you have an accepted offer. Like I told you in step number 3, your not your down payment. So your deposit is going to be due within 24 hours of that accepted agreement. Now, I was even about to call it the down payment, and many people have confusion with us. So Safras, can you explain what is the difference between a deposit and a down payment?
So the deposit is just a financial promise to tell the sellers, hey, you know what? I am serious. We've accepted this offer, and this is kind of my promise to you that I will and have actual interest, financial interest in closing. So the deposit, let's say you're someone buying a home for, $1 million, and you wanted to put the 50K down. You wanted to put, let's say, $100,000 as your down payment, right? The deposit will be, let's say, 50K, but it's just to hold this home as yours until closing. It's to hold this home, condo, whatever it is, until closing. The down payment is due the week of closing, right? Which could be, some people are going to put 10%, some people are going to put 20%. Whatever the final number is that we've already talked about is typically in the last week or last 2 weeks, whereas in the deposit is right now within 24 hours to say, we're serious, here's our deposit, we're looking forward to closing with you.
Yeah. And like I said before, it's usually going to be around 5%.
Exactly.
That's like industry standard, but you can go higher and you can go lower. And this does happen. If you go higher, it's going to make your offer stronger. People take you more seriously. If you go lower, then they don't take you as seriously. So 5% is the number that they're looking for, but you can go higher, you can go lower. And then, down payment due on the week of closing. So now we have an accepted offer and we have the deposit, and now it goes into finalizing the details. So that's going to be step number 6. So finalizing the details are going to be those conditions that we talked about: the financing 5 days, the status certificate 3 days, the home inspection 3 days. How do we finalize those details?
So I think number one, again, if we're going into financing, yes, you have a piece of paper that's your pre-approval. It says you're approved for this much, this is your down payment, all these factors. But the pre-approval and the actual final approval of the mortgage is a lot different, right? Like, I'll give you an example of a condo. The person said, you could buy a condo for $700,000-800,000, and that's maybe what we bought it for. And then we take it to the mortgage company, and they're like, actually, it was 800,000 based on this approximate, of maintenance fee. All the other fees are involved will now come into play. We will understand, and then they will say, you know what, you're either good to close or you're not, right? It's a lot of other parts go into the actual approval. They'll give you the actual rate that you might have in, 30, 60, 90 days. You get all the actual details, and they specifically approve your finances for this home. That's the difference between, the pre-approval is just a blanket, right? This is kind of what you're going to be able to afford and get. But now when we get into the actual approval, it's saying this exact home is will approve you for it on these terms.
So so now the you go your financing is good. Once your financing is good, we do something called a notice of fulfillment, NOF. So basically what that states is that we have fulfilled the condition, that we're good with the condition, that our financing is going to be good. And once you send that, now you've waived that condition. Now let's talk about the status certificate and the home inspection.
Fantastic. So with status certificate, many condos, the agent, the property manager will have it sent. Sometimes it takes 2 3 business days. Sometimes it's 10, but we don't count that time. We only start counting the time once we receive it. Starts the next day. So we get it Monday at 9 p.m. Our business days for the three start on Tuesday. So we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday until a certain time to have our lawyers review it and come back again, like Wonka said earlier, like a 1 to 2 page document outlining the positives and sometimes the negatives, so that again we understand what we're getting into. Similar situation, we review that. Myself, Wonka, will review that with you. Sometimes the lawyers and say, all right, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, and this is what we're not gonna do. And if we like it, same thing. We'll do another waiver, notice of fulfillment of the status certificate condition.
Okay, and what about home inspection?
The home inspection, it will have a time set. Let's say 3 to 5 days. We'll call the home inspector. That's our job. We'll call the home inspector, arrange a time to go visit the home, all in person. This is not virtual. We all have to go. One of us will go with the home inspector and yourselves. We'll go there. They'll do a 2 to 3 hour inspection of the total home. Sometimes you'll get either a written report or they'll go through it as if they're saying, hey, these are the problems I see. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And again, if we find out, example, the roof is 2 years overdue, the furnace, the AC is 2 years overdue, water issues, whatever we find out, especially if it's a big concern, we'd have to look into either having the seller resolve it or maybe there's other price and conditions that sometimes we can go back on if it's serious major that we didn't foresee or weren't told. We can go back and maybe negotiate it. But if we like everything, again, similar situation, we go into the waiver or condition fulfillment forms.
Yeah. So again, once those notice of fulfillments are done, because those are going to be your main conditions, once those notices of fulfillments are done, now it becomes a firm sale. What a firm sale means is you are 100% agreed, the seller is 100% agreed, and we're going to be moving forward. Your deposit is it's there, it's going to get added into whatever your down payment is, whatever other funds that you need to pay. That money, it gets used towards that. But from there, it's now you start packing up because you're going to be moving there. And they're going to start packing up because they have to leave there. And I would say 95% of the time, maybe even higher than that, everything always works out. The day of closing, everything closes. Sometimes things do go the other way. Rarely, very rarely does it happen. But sometimes the seller is not ready to move into their house, or the buyer hasn't fully sold their place. Sometimes some things can happen, but that's why we have lawyers, and the lawyers get involved, and there's something called a per diem. But like I said, this rarely happens. We just want you to know about it and to understand it. But again, rarely ever happens. So that's kind of finalizing the details. Then from there, on the date that you agreed on, that becomes the closing date. So the lawyers are doing their work on the back end, making sure everything is good. And then once everything is good, finalized, that's the day where all of the funds are moved from your account to, or maybe the lawyer already has it in trust, to pay out the seller. and that's the day that you are going to get keys and you're going to get access to your new home. And that's the day we say congratulations, you are a new home owner. And that's the 7 step buying process.
And one thing in between, the finalizing the details and closing. Sometimes again it's 30, 60, 90 days. Sometimes it is longer, case by case. Of course, we typically schedule in, 1 to 2 buyer visits, meaning, sometimes you saw a home 2 months ago and you forget what it looks like. Yeah, you have the pictures, you have the measurements, but we will for sure take you guys in to kind of make sure that the home is as it looked or very close to the day we saw it, right? Sometimes maybe they moved out and you're like, hey, what happened here, right? There's anything can happen sometimes within those 30, 60, 90 days. Is we'll go through it and we typically reserve one a couple of days before. So like Wonka said, so that there aren't any issues on the day of closing. Everybody's happy. We change the keys. It's done.
Yeah, again, rarely is the house ever different than what you saw. But yeah, we always, like us, we always say, yeah, within 3 days, within the last week, we need to go see it. But then there's also another time that maybe you want to go see it and we could go see it earlier. Maybe you want to take measurements, things like that. Just get a better understanding of where everything's going to go. Maybe order some new furniture, things like that. But these are what the buyer walkthrough is for. So now I told you we're going to go through everything and then we're going to go back to step number 3, which is the search for homes. So search for homes, we have a very long list of kind of everything that we need to look into and we want to look into when you're going to be buying a home. But the first thing that we always ask is what is your goal? Like, just in your head, what do you see? And this kind of gets the juices flowing and helps you understand kind of where you're at. We can answer a lot of the questions throughout it, but then the next question is going to be, tell me more about your current situation. Even if we can come see your current situation, it can help us get a better understanding of kind of where you're at and what you're looking for. Maybe you're upsizing, maybe you're downsizing, maybe you just want to stay in the same type of property. Like I had a client who they had a townhouse with a really high maintenance fee and they wanted to move, and this was in Mississauga, they wanted to move to Vaughan and have a townhouse there but with no maintenance fee. So maybe you're even having like a lateral move kind of like that, but just to get rid of your maintenance fee. So we really need to find out kind of what your current situation is. And then from there, we get into like, okay, let's get very descriptive and we'll do like a simulation, or I guess one for you right now. And we talked about 800,000 before. We talked about a million before. So we'll just go off of the number 800,000. And if you're looking in Toronto at 800,000, most likely what are you going to be getting?
Most likely you'll be getting a large condo.
Okay.
A 2-bedroom large condo.
Okay. So now someone says, yeah, my budget is 800 right now. I'm renting out a 1 bedroom or a 1+ den. But I heard the market is really good and I've saved up some money. So now, I'm thinking about buying. So someone who's looking for 800, how many bedrooms do you think they'd be looking for?
So especially in today's market, they'll definitely be able to get a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo, typically with parking now as well, in a really good building. I would say not anywhere downtown, but a lot of places downtown.
Yeah.
Close to anywhere, like close to Queen, King, out east, out west. Really, I would say for 800, you're comfortably getting at least 850, 900 square feet even of living space, 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a parking spot.
So then now everything that Safraz is talking about, it's now we need to start, because you can get this everywhere. So now we need to start narrowing in on it. Is a view important to you?
Absolutely. View, location, right? We always say location, location, location. It's location, view. Do you want a balcony? Do you want a terrace?
Yeah.
Like a few of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
So, okay, if you're asking someone, some people, they don't care if they get a view. Some people, a view is like very, very important to them. Then, like you talked about, a balcony. It's not just like, do you want a balcony? Like, some people want a private balcony. It's very important to someone to have a private balcony. Maybe there's only a Juliet. Someone says, no, you know what? One of my hard no's, I have to have a balcony. Or someone says, I really want a really big outdoor space. So we like to get into the details of everything and dive deep into them. What's something else that somebody would like to know about?
It's you like you said, view. Some people have very specific, like I want to face south, I want to face east, I want to face west, I want to see the sunrise, the sunset, I want to see the water.
Yeah,
There-
or another one too is, I don't want a building right
Right
across from me.
across.
That's something
Very
that's
important. Yeah, a lot
yeah,
of
that's
people.
something that is important to someone. But another person is gonna say, I just want a large space. I want to get the most space that I can get, and I'm just gonna keep the blinds down. I don't really care. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be inside. Like I don't really care that much about it.
Amenities are also important, right? Say like it's especially with a condo, you want to know, does it have 24-hour security? Maybe that's important to you. Do you want a swimming pool? Do you want amenities? Do you want There's so many key features, and especially when there's sometimes 10,000 options across the GTA. If you're looking at 10,000 homes, it's going to take us 20 years to buy a property.
Yeah.
You know?
So then another thing becomes like, okay, like a bathtub. Is a bathtub very important?
Yep.
Do you have kids? Are you someone who wants to take a bath? There's lots of people who say like, it has to have a bathtub, otherwise I'm not gonna be buying or living there. It has to have a walk-in closet.
Walk-in closet,
It
yeah.
has to have a ensuite bathroom. All of these things are questions that we're gonna be asking you, and we're gonna be wanting to know. How big does it have to be? Maybe your current place is 700 square feet. You say, no, it needs to be much bigger than this.
Yep.
So we're not going to look at anything that's less than 800 square feet.
Corner units. There's so many, like even corner unit. I have, I need a king size bed in both rooms. You kind of go through this, and it narrows down what's available to us.
So one of the next things that's very important is going to be location. So what we're going to want to know is like, what is your perfect intersection? And some people have it, and some people say, I like this area, I like this area, I like this area. So we look at all those areas, and we look at the different types of style of home or style of condo that you want. Maybe someone says, I want something that's unique. I want a loft.
Yep.
I want stairs in it. I want separation in it. There's so many different things, whereas sometimes people, you just go online and you say like, 2 bedroom houses. You're just looking through millions and millions and millions of properties to get to what it is that you like. Whereas we're gonna ask you about 20 to 30 questions to help you and us understand what is the best place for you. So a perfect intersection. What area do you like to be in? Maybe you don't know the perfect intersection, but you know the area. Maybe your kid is in school now.
Yeah.
What school area do you have to be in? So there's all of these things that you have to look at. Again, maybe somebody's buying they have a higher budget and they want to buy a home. What's something that's very important for them important question for them about a home?
Very similar. We say, how many bedrooms, right? How many bedrooms are you looking at? Some people like, I need 3, I need 4, I need 5, right? Some homes only have 1 bathroom on the main and upstairs. Are you okay with that? Is parking a must, right? Because depending on the area, especially in Toronto, if it's a home, many homes do have a dedicated parking spot. Some of them are street parking, right? Is it close to? Do you need it to be close to a highway, a subway? Like all of these are, and another thing, is school districts, right? If you're looking for 2 children or whatever it may be, you want to know the school zone. Is it highly rated, or is it the best of the best, or is it worst of the worst? It's really bedrooms, bathrooms. We don't really talk about south facing, north facing typically with homes, right? But again, what intersection do you want to be in? Do you need to be close to the DVP, 401, QEW? What is it? Like basically narrowing it down to get you kind of like zoned in and focused on that specific home. So it basically, we want to simplify the process for you.
Yeah. Then another thing could be like, do you need an outdoor space? Do you host people in the summer often? Are you, do you need a garage? Do you like to do work on cars? You like to do
Yep.
different types of woodworking, uh, different things like that. We want to get as detailed and go as in depth as possible, even inside the actual home. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want something that's going to be open space and newer, or are you okay with something where it's a lot older and broken up? And are you someone who's okay with doing renovations, and maybe it's very small renovations? Maybe you want to just get the best price, get the best property in the best location, and you're ready to go out there and you're ready to do all of the work that needs to be done to make that home the most beautiful home for you. So every single person is different, and we dive deep into it as we can go to get a better understanding of what's right for you, what's best for you. And that's how we're always able to find the perfect home for you within the first 2 to 7 viewings that we do.
Absolutely. Another one, and especially with homes, is basement height, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was working on something in East York, and it was a different agent. They're like, "This is the home for us," because their client was like 6'8", and in East York, Leslieville, in the beaches area, most of the basements are 6.5, maybe 6'7" actually. But they found the only basement that someone had dug up a while ago that was over 9 foot, and that person said, "That's the only home I'm going to buy." So they bought it, right? So it's and we were competing, and I was talking to the agent, that the selling agent was like, "How did you guys get this price in this market?" They said, "To be honest, this is the only home that that person could buy in this whole area. They've seen hundreds of homes. This is the only one that even qualifies because of his, that person's height." And they paid well over what I thought was market value at the time, just because that was the only home that they would probably be able to live in and use the basement, right? Otherwise, they would only use the two upper stairs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And speaking of basements, maybe somebody is an investor focused person and
yep,
they
that's
want
important.
somebody to be living in their basement, or they want to know that they're able to make changes to the basement so that somebody can be living there and they're able to get extra income as well.
Yeah, so separate entrance. Does it have a separate entrance? Do you need to add a separate entrance? There's so many factors, right? Like, especially in Toronto, homes are so expensive. Even in today's market, it's always good to. Or maybe you're like, you know what? I have two family members that stay with me 6 months out of the year. I kind of don't want them to stay upstairs. I want to have a separate basement with a bathroom, a kitchen, an entrance, so they can leave comfortably and in peace.
Yeah. And another question that we always ask, that sometimes people are like, why do you need to know that? Is what's some of your favorite things to do? The reason that we ask what are some of the favorite things to do is because maybe you like hiking, maybe there's a place where you always like to go, and all of these things can factor into helping us help you find the best place for you. Even like another thing too is, where do you work from?
That's
Is it
important.
is
Yeah.
it is it going to be work from home? Does one person work in the east and one person works in the north? All of these factors are very important, and these are all the things that we want to know. That way it kind of helps us skip out on what we don't want. We're able to push away everything that we don't want, that doesn't fit your criteria.
Yeah, and the reason why we want to narrow it down, we keep talking about narrowing it down. And I'll just give you a quick example, right? You work in downtown Toronto, right? And you're either going to take the train, go train, whatever, or even most times not drive, but if you need to drive, you will, right? But if we're looking at homes in deep Durham, maybe close to Barrie out there, or further out west, we have to consider the challenges, because 800K closer to Toronto is a lot different than 800K 2 hours from here, right? But if there's always something at every price point. Is just naturally, as you go outside of Toronto, it opens it up. But if we just left it all open and it's a semicircle, it's gonna be so hard, because then you're not just comparing price. You're comparing, like, yeah, if I go out, deep Durham, I can get a 3,000 square feet for 800-900K, whereas in Toronto you might get 2,000 square feet, right? That's why we want to understand. Are you willing to commute 2 hours a day to work? Do you even need to go into work? A lot of these things are Parquet. Some people say, I want to be by Trinity Bellwoods. I want to be by Withrow. A lot of these things, like lifestyle factors, are very important to kind of making sure, yeah, you not just buy it, but you also get to enjoy your home and the surrounding areas. That's very important.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like we've touched on almost everything in the like our buyer
Yeah.
process. Um, what's your one piece of advice for somebody who's thinking about buying? What would you say to them?
I would say, first things first, sit down with us. Sit down with us, and, you know, we might be here for like an hour talking about this, but we really personalize it, go in depth, and understand. I mean, you don't have to worry about, hey, I don't have a lawyer, I don't have a mortgage broker. Oh, my cousin recommended me this mortgage broker. Someone said to go buy this. Like, we've dealt with, the 360 of everything so much that just that one meeting, whether you buy it or not right away. We do a lot of meetings sometimes 2 3 years out. It's you get a clear direction on how this process looks specifically for you and your lifestyle. And the earlier you can do it, the better.
Yeah. So if you want to set up a time to meet with us, click the link below, set up a discovery call, set up a buyer consultation. But we do appreciate you staying with us throughout this whole thing. It shows that you're a serious buyer and we're going to be able to help you for sure. But I'm Bawanka with the Compass team.
And it's Safraz with the Compass team.
And this was your buyer process. And we're looking forward to seeing you. We're looking forward to talking to you. And if you have any questions, you can always throw them in the comments below or send this to somebody that you know is looking at buying a home.